A 13-mile bike ride begins the climb from Desert Cactus to Ponderosa Pine and through the streets of Grants. Next, a 5-mile uphill run on gravel roads. 2 more miles on cross-country skis to the challenge of Heartbreak Hill. Another mile on snowshoes takes you to the summit at over 11,000 feet. This is the Mount Taylor Quadrathlon.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kendra with the Mount Taylor Quadrathlon, Assistant Race Director for the 2023 race. I'm here with Maggie, board member for the race and experienced solo participant. And we are going to host the live stream tonight, pre-race meeting. Thank you for joining us. Our goals tonight is we are going to talk about race weekend logistics, let you know the important things you need to understand to have a good, safe weekend with us in Grants on February 18th. So 2 Saturdays from now, we'll all be joining up in Grants Friday night. We'll talk about the logistics for check-in, and then for a good, long, hopefully beautiful day on Saturday. A couple items I want to address before we get started. We do have the live chat open, the type-in chat for Facebook and YouTube. Please drop your comments on, have some banter back and forth, and we'll pull out the relevant questions. But we are going to address all the questions at the end. The other thing I want to mention is that we had a glaring mistake on our website, and I will take total credit for that. There was some information that stated that the race was starting and finishing at the golf course in Grants. That's not the case. We got lucky. There were some construction hiccups happening in town. We thought we'd have to reroute things, but we don't. So we're back to normally scheduled programming. The race is headquartered out of the Cibola County Complex in Grants, New Mexico, and we will not have any events at the Coyote del Malpais golf course. All right, we took care of the housekeeping, and Maggie's going to jump in to start us off by talking about checking in for race weekend and what Friday night will look like.
All right, so I'll talk to you about the check-in process, which, yes, happens the day before the race, Friday, February 17th, from 3 to 9 p.m. at the Cibola County Complex, so the same place where the race starts. You'll park nearby, bring your ID. You'll pick up your race bib, your timing chip, your shirt, etc. And then the next step for check-in is the equipment check-in, which is from 3 to 9 p.m. at the Grants Fire Department station, which is very nearby. Soloists, you'll need to bring your bike run drop bag with your running shoes, cold weather gear, and your optional yak tracks, etc., as well as your ski equipment, your skis, boots, poles, additional cold weather gear, and your snowshoe equipment, your snowshoes with respective shoes in their backpack. All of your gear will be organized and secured with color-coded duct tape during the race check-in. Don't worry, there are going to be race volunteers and officials there to help you secure your gear. It is important you bring everything that's needed after the bike phase of the race. You won't have access to it after the bike. Gear is going to be staged in the respective aid stations by the race officials, and it'll be waiting for you once you get to the transition areas on race day. Duct tape will be provided by the race. Teams, the runner does not need to turn in their own gear. They'll have the gear, they'll be able to take the shuttle up to that transition wearing all of their gear on them. The snowshoer and skier on the teams will turn in their equipment together at race check-in, as they're going to be shuttled up together on race day. If you have any additional questions specifically about gear, like what type of skis are the best type of skis to use, etc., please refer to the videos that were just recently posted on the Quad social media. There are some great tutorials out there.
You can also drop into the comments now, and maybe some folks will have suggestions or we can cover it at the end.
After check-in, there's an optional lasagna dinner from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at Grants High School. It's free for participants and open to the public or your family, spectators, with a donation. This info is all also available on the website, so if you want more specifics about the addresses of these locations, please check the website.
Cool, thank you, Maggie. I'm going to jump in with just a couple comments on frequently asked questions that we get about this whole gear and check-in process. Maggie touched on this, but I'm going to reiterate, you don't have to bring your bike the night before to check in, because you'll keep that with you at your hotel or in the bed of your truck or wherever you're staying, and you'll walk it to the finish or the starting line Saturday morning. Don't be intimidated by this duct tape process, but if you guys know somebody who will sponsor us with duct tape, that would be great, because we use a ridiculous amount. The whole plan there is that you'll use gray duct tape to bind your packages all together. You'll send a package to the bike run transition. If you're a soloist, you'll send a package to bike run and a separate package to run ski. So keep that in mind while you're packing. You'll bind all those together with gray duct tape. And then we use a color coding system to determine soloists, bags for bike run, soloists, bags for run ski, and then teams and pairs, bags for run ski. There will be posters up at the fire station the night before, tons of people to help you. Don't worry about it, but just understand that you need to have your things segmented into at least different piles. We'll help you label it and get it up the mountain with our awesome volunteers. I think that's it for check-in. The lasagna dinner is very cool. It's a fundraiser for the local band. They have helped us out with that event since I can remember, probably 20 plus years of our 40, if you can believe that. This is our 40th year as an organization. I think that's very exciting. But yeah, it's an awesome opportunity for the kids to raise some money. They provide a good meal. It's right down the street. So give it a shot. Bring your family. Again, yours is free. They can get in with a donation. That's it for Friday night. If you've got questions, drop them into the chats. We'll talk about it later. But let's talk about Saturday morning, early Saturday morning. We kick things off. It's sometimes terribly cold, but that's okay. You'll warm up quickly. I saw something the other day that said, for a race like this, you need to be bold, start cold. And I thought, that's it. And I have a hard time with that. But
not too cold.
Not too cold, but pretty darn cold. Because as soon as you get through Grants on the bike course, you start climbing Mount Taylor. You start climbing right about the prison. You'll pass the prison on your right side. And you get hot very quickly. And if you dress too warm, you'll be pulled over, shedding layers repeatedly. So keep that in mind. But jumping into the details, the race will start at the Cibola County Complex. This is the old county building, same place we've started the quad for many years. You may be familiar with it. There's links to that location on our website on the schedule page. So go there, scroll down, you can see all of that. I think we also, we reference that address several places, but it's the old county building. We will have a mass start at 8 a.m. and of course you start on your bike because that's the first leg. We'll get into the details of the course, but we know that much. You'll start on your bike, 8 a.m. Teams, pairs, soloists all start together. We'll be using a timing chip system that's a bracelet that you wear around your ankle. For soloists, make sure that you bring that day of, strap it on your ankle, and you'll leave it there all day.
I forgot it once.
She did. It wasn't good. She gave us appropriately harsh feedback for not explaining that you have to remember to put your timing chip on. Anyway, morning of, if you're a soloist, start with your timing chip on your ankle. Do not put it on your wrist. We might miss you. And wear it all day. Don't take it off. If you're part of a team, you'll be getting one timing chip for the entire team, and you have to hand it off at each transition point. So don't forget that when you show up on your bike, you're totally beat and you're glad to be done. You can't let your runner leave until you give them that timing chip and they put it on their ankle. Let's talk about parking. Parking is not super terrible, but it's a little tight morning of the race. Make sure you show up in plenty of time that if you need to park a 5-minute walk away, you won't have a problem with that. We allow spectators, we encourage them at the start. So come down, 8 a.m., enjoy, start the race, and then you'll have many hours to wait while people are out and about. But please do mind all the traffic barriers downtown. We try to block off lanes so that we have emergency access and things like that. Morning of the race, if you're part of a team or a pair, you're going to need to ride a shuttle up the mountain. And we start the shuttles pretty early. The first bus runs at 6 a.m. and that bus is typically full of volunteers. So if you're volunteering anywhere on the mountain from Bike Run up, we want you to hop on a bus at 6 a.m. We get you there first so you can help set up, prepare for all the racers to arrive. From there on, we start to shuttle the team members and pairs who need to go to the run ski transition or the ski snowshoe transition. This is a little bit clunky, so we'll break it down step by step. Anybody who needs to go to the upper half of the mountain needs to be on that second wave of shuttles. You'll ride together to the bike run. Get off your shuttle, and at that point, we're actually going to ferry you in smaller groups in a pickup up to the bike run. From the bike run, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. We ferry you in pickups to the run ski transition. Yeah, and then if you're the snowshoer, you actually have to walk. It's part of our rules. You have to take yourself up to the ski to snowshoe transition. Reason for that is not because we're terrible and don't want to help you, but we just can't take that many participants up on snowmobiles and snowcats. It's a resource thing. And it's not that far. It's really pretty. It's a couple miles. That walking leg is not timed. So when you arrive to the run ski, you should be snowshoer and skier together. It's been hanging out. At that point, you'll depart. The snowshoer will walk, not timed, make your way up 2 miles to the start of the snowshoe leg. Hope that all made sense. If not, comment. We'll go back over it again. Jumping back to the shuttle situation, if you're the runner, you get on the last bus because you have the least distance to travel. The runner buses depart at 7:05 and 7:15, but do not wait for the last bus. Every year, we've got people who don't feel like going up early, waiting in the cold, but that doesn't cut it because our shuttle space is limited. So please jump on early shuttles. Don't wait for the last one, or else you may end up without a ride, or you might delay the race start, which is not cool. Beyond that, I think that's all I have to say. We don't allow poles or big gear on the bus, so make sure you get your stuff checked in the night before, because we won't let you roll onto the shuttle with skis, boots, poles in hand like it's a ski resort. So one final note is that if you're on the mountain for race day, you're up there until the race is over. We don't allow back and forth traffic during the day for safety reasons. As you can imagine, Lowell Canyon is a wonderful road to ride when there's no traffic on it. But when there's traffic, the shoulders get a little tight. So we hold volunteers, racers, everyone else up the mountain until law enforcement officers decide it's safe in the afternoon, and then they'll start to guide people down. But understand that if you're going up to volunteer or if you're part of a team, it's a good long day. But as long as you're prepared, it shouldn't be a problem. All right, I'm going to kick it back to Maggie to talk about the course, and we're also going to share a map. And I'll just kind of scroll along and reference the areas she's talking about while she talks about this with you.
All right, course description. So if you have not heard by now, this is a multidisciplinary race, 4 different sports: swim, bike, run. I'm just kidding. Bike, run, ski, and snowshoe from the town of Grants to the summit of Mount Taylor, and then back down and completing the course again to the town of Grants. GPS files of the course segments as well as the complete course are available on the race website. So if you would like to download a GPS aid, feel free to do so free of charge.
Maggie's got the jokes tonight. It wasn't in the script.
Aid station fare. So there are 3 major transitions on the course, which if you're a soloist, you will pass through each transition 6 times. The aid stations have water, sports drinks called Tailwind, possibly Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, Honey Stinger products, and other miscellaneous food stuff. If you have particular fuel that you want, please bring it, as well as you might want to bring your own water too in containers that are freeze-proof.
That's a really good note. We don't always guarantee that your gear will be stored somewhere where it won't freeze overnight. So if you've got water that you're storing in your packs, like insulate it pretty well, or plan on the fact that your hoses could be frozen. Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
In the transition areas, please know that volunteers are there to help you. They're there to help the race run smoothly, but they have a lot of people to help out. So If you don't have someone catering to you, please be respectful to the volunteers and please try to be self-sufficient if needed. That might be required. All right, the Bike Up is the first segment of the race. It's a 13-mile, 1,700-foot ascent from the start line to the bike run transition area. The major road, Lobo Canyon Road, that you'll be biking up will be closed to vehicular traffic, non-residents starting at 7:45 on race day. So you'll have the road to yourself for the most part as a cyclist. The remainder of the ride, once you get out of town, you'll have a couple of stoplights to get through and some stop signs, which will have race volunteers and law enforcement doing traffic control. So you can ride on through those on the way up. But after you get through town, there won't be any other stop signs or stoplights to navigate. Please know that there is no drafting allowed on the bike segment. That is an official race rule. Teams, remember once you get to the bike run transition to pass off your timing chip to your runner. The next segment of the course is the Run Up, which is 5 miles long and a 1,200-foot ascent. As the climb progresses, the road may have some mud patches. It might become increasingly snow-packed and icy. Some people prefer to wear traction on their shoes, such as Yak Tracks. It's optional. There's one right-hand turn that's staffed by a race volunteer to direct you. And the course is marked at each mile marker. There are going to be 2 unofficial aid stations with water on the run up. You might want to bring your own water though. Then after the run, you'll get to the next transition area, which is the Run Ski. From the Run Ski transition area, you'll want to leave that aid station going uphill. You'll pass a brown pit toilet on the way up. If you go downhill, you're going the wrong way.
You're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. The Ski Up is a 2-mile ski with a 1,200-foot ascent. There is your first time cutoff to proceed up to the snowshoe. So once you finish the ski, you need to finish your ski by 1 p.m. in order to keep going. Teams, the skier and snowshoe will be shuttled to the ski run together. We're saying it again. The snowshoe needs to hike up before it's time to start their race segment. So snowshoer, once you get shuttled up to that area, you should start hiking.
Yep, your skier is going to be super mad if they catch you on Heartbreak Hill.
All right, from there, the snowshoe. You will snowshoe up 1 mile. It's a 600-foot ascent to the summit of Mount Taylor. It's a skier's right out of the ski snowshoe aid station. And there is another aid station partway through the climb and the descent, which is a really cool high stoke aid station with beverages.
The edge of the world. If you've been there, I'm sure you know what we're talking about. And if you haven't been there, it'll be your best aid station of the day.
And once you get to the summit of Mount Taylor, take a deep breath and smile, knowing that it's all downhill from there. You've made it to the top. Then you'll do the snowshoe down. You'll actually go off the back side of the mountain this year. It's a little bit different route down, but you'll still come down into the same ski snowshoe transition area. Then once it's time to ski down, the ski down is a different route from the ski up. Remember that. Then once you get to the ski run transition, you'll run down the same route. That one is another time cutoff. So you need to make it to the bike run aid station by 4:30 p.m. in order to proceed down the course. Then the bike down is the same route as the way up.
Awesome.
Once you arrive at the finish line from the bike, Stick around to cheer people on at the finish line. It's a really fun atmosphere. Cheer on your teammates, cheer on your fellow racers. Make sure you're turning your timing chip. There will be complimentary Subway at the finish line for all racers. But if you'd like to bring some money, there's going to be food available for purchase, as well as beer, and that you'll need to have an ID for in order to purchase. Then after that, make sure you pick up your race equipment, which will be shuttled down. That'll be available starting at 5:30 p.m. at the county building at the finish line.
All right, thank you, Maggie. I'll talk briefly about awards. So we do host an award ceremony as quick as we can after the race. We do understand that some of you have to get back out of town, things like that. Understand that we're trying to get a lot of information and gear off the mountain in a brief amount of time, but we do our best. The award ceremony happens by 5. We try to push it earlier, so don't plan on 5 on the dot. But as a rough estimate, that's what we're aiming for. And we do have prize money that we give away for soloists only, for male and female competitors in the first, second, or third place positions. We also do, we recognize age group winners for individuals and teams and pairs. And then we recognize overall winners for individuals and or teams and pairs. Of course we do for soloists. Those are the folks who get prize money. So it's fun, especially if you're part of a team. You can all try to crowd up there onto the podium and take pictures and things. We enjoy that very much. And if it's warm, cross your fingers, we try to have the award ceremony outside of the county building where you can actually see it from the beer tent, which is pretty fun. But you never know with the quad. Sometimes we have beautiful sunny 60-degree days, and so sometimes it's terribly cold. I'm going to talk briefly about volunteering. We always need volunteers, and I'm going to make even a bigger plea here. We even need year-round volunteers for the quad, people to help with the board. We've got such a solid crew of people who have brought this race through its first 40 years, but we're always looking to breathe new life in. And I apologize, I'm kind of losing my voice, but I'm going to stick with it. Maggie might have to just pick me up off the floor. If anyone is coming into town and you're not racing, let's say you're a family member of a racer, or you just want to see what this is all about, please reach out and ask to volunteer. We can use you in town where it's nice and warm and there's heaters. We can use you on the summit where maybe it's terrible and you can't see 10 feet, but we've got a spot for you anywhere along the way. We need you if you just want to help shuttle gear, or if you've got medical skills, communication skills. We need everybody. And I'm not joking when I say that it takes hundreds of volunteers to pull this race off. But I think our volunteer crew is what makes this race so special. So that's my plea. Please reach out on Facebook, email. You can call the Cibola County Chamber of Commerce and they'll get us a message and we will get you headed to where you need to go. We have hats and I think shirts for volunteers. I might be overcommitting us. We have cool stuff for you if you volunteer. And the final thing that I'm going to talk about is safety. The quad is so much fun, and on good years, it's lighthearted, and we have wonderful days, and everybody's wearing t-shirts. But we have to be aware that we're talking about a 44-mile race that reaches 11,300 feet elevation. Those are pretty severe consequences if the weather turns, and so we need you to be prepared to take care of yourself on race day. If you're doing the upper legs of the mountain, understand that even if it's warm, take shells up. Be ready to hunker down if we do get into a whiteout. It does happen. If we get into those situations, of course, we deploy everybody to get out on the course, give you directions and things like that. But understand that it's not always 60 and sunny on the mountain. Also, even if it's a pretty nice year, if you're on a team, you spend a lot of time waiting. And it can get really cold because, of course, if you're running 5 miles uphill, you work up a sweat, and then you stay parked for 2, 3, 4 hours at the transition, and we have nowhere for you to get inside. Sometimes we're able to have a fire, and that's helpful, but don't count on it. Things can happen that prevent us from doing that. So send up extra jackets in your drop bags for you and the team member who's going to be relieving you at that transition. If you've got blankets, send them up. We don't limit you on the size of bag you can put on the shuttle. So jam in everything you need in order to keep yourself warm. Same goes if you're volunteering. We want you out there so bad and we need you, but you have to be self-sufficient because it turns into a problem when people show up and they don't have waterproof boots, stuff like that. Taking it back down the mountain onto the bike course, we do require helmets, and as Maggie mentioned, no drafting. But beyond that, like, ride within your abilities. It is very fast riding off the top of the mountain. The first 3 miles between the bike run transition and coal mine campground are crazy fast. And if you're a soloist, you're like not in your right mind at that point in time, potentially. So pay attention, dial it back. You'll have plenty of time to open it up as you get into town. That's all I've got for safety. We'll have emergency crews out there. Hopefully we don't need to use them, but they're there if you need them. Please seek out a volunteer if you're having trouble. Oh, and the last thing I'm going to talk about is that we've got a very cool event going on during the day at the start-finish line, and that is the Kids Quad. It's adorable. We've got 3- and 4-year-olds up through young teens who haven't quite graduated up to the big race. They do a bike and running / obstacle course event down at the park, at the Riverwalk Park. They can register night before, day of. It's only $10. And this year we're doing a cool prize. We're trying to engage all the elementary schools. And if an elementary school can send 20 kids, a local school within the Grant-Cibolo County School District, if they can send 20 kids to the race, we're going to donate $100 of books to their school. So get out there, bring your kids. They don't need to have been training all year. Show up with their bike and they're going to have a good time. We help them get through the course. Registration morning of, if you don't make it the night before, is 7 to 8:15. And we do a staggered start at 9:30. Start with the oldest kids, 11 to 12. And then we end with the youngest kids at 10:30. So please show up for that. If you don't have little ones, come out and help us, because as you can imagine, wrangling 3- and 4-year-olds on bikes and through obstacle courses takes a lot of people. And that's all I've got. So Maggie, unless you have anything else, I think we can open it up to questions. All right, we've got Michael Brown, who some of you might have seen in our gear videos. He's running the chat, I think. So let's see.
We're YouTubers now.
All right.
Oh, there's a chat.
Oh, people came. Very cool. Thank you. Oh, road conditions, bike, run, and ski. Maggie's been up more recently than me. Tell us what you saw.
So the paved road for the bike is clear. At this point, there is not ice on the road. Of course, that can change. We're due for some snow next week. But typically before the day of the race, there's a street sweeper that goes up and sweeps all of the like goat heads and little gravel pieces out of the bike lane. And since the road is a closed course, you can ride in the middle of the road basically for the most part. The gravel road for the run, it's really mixed right now. You have everything. You've got some, I think there's maybe a little bit of dry dirt. There's mud, there's slush, there's ice, there's snow. You've got a mixed bag of everything. The ski, I just skied this past weekend, and things may have changed a little bit since then and may change again before the race. But it was a great ski. The ski up was really enjoyable. There were several feet of snow. The snowshoe up was super fun because it was kind of packed, nice and packed snow, so I wasn't sinking down into the snow. The ski down was at this point better than last year, I would say. There was some, there were tracks, there were ski tracks where you could really pick up some speed because it was kind of icy, I guess. But to the side of the tracks, there's more powder where if you're going too fast, you could kind of sneak off into the powder. I'd say at this point, it's a mixed bag.
Cool. Thank you, Maggie. We had someone write in to ask, on the bike down, will the left-hand lanes of the uphill traffic be blocked off and safe to use for the descent? It's kind of tricky because, yes, the road is closed to traffic, but we do allow emergency response personnel up and down the hill. I would say that you should be very cautious if you push into the left lane on the way down, because it's entirely possible that there would be a car in the oncoming lane. So you won't have a ton of traffic because we don't allow up and down movement, but you just never know if a police officer is going to be, or even we'll have a little bit of media on course this year as well.
And there's one small residential area
Mhm.
that, of course, the residents can come up and down.
Yep. Yeah. So I would say be very careful if you decide to take advantage of that. Someone wants to know how many racers or participants are currently limited. As of last night, we had registered. Yes, the words. As of last night, we had 202. And I didn't check today, but hopefully we got some more. And if you have friends who you can convince to come out, tell them to do it. I signed up one time off the couch the night before. This race is that much fun. It was worth it. I did it to get the doubler scarf. So if you did the Mount Taylor 50K and you're listening, you better show up on race day because you've done the hard part. Sign up. Okay, more questions coming in. Our question guy, Les Gaines, longtime volunteer. We've got to give some love to Les Gaines. You've probably all run into him on the mountain. He has carried this race through to one of many people who have gotten us where we are today. But anyway, Les says, don't forget to use your meal voucher. So this race is a bargain. It really is. Because with your registration fee, you get free spaghetti dinner night before. And we give you a $7 or $10 meal voucher. See, I should have looked at the details. Somewhere between $7 and $10 is available to you through a meal voucher to use at local restaurants. So check your registration packet. Don't just pitch it all in the trash. And then go redeem your voucher. Get some food after the race. We have someone asking if they can't make it to check-in, can they have a friend drop off their equipment? The answer is yes. That's an easy one. Thanks, Luke Dunley, for complimenting our volunteers. We think they make the race what it is. It's one of my favorite things about race day. I'm not racing this year, but I love that when you're racing, especially if you're solo, every time you come around a corner, somebody's there to just like give you stoke and get you up the mountain. Okay, this is the question. This is the question. Carlos says, I'm a novice skier. How challenging is the downhill ski? Are you a novice downhill skier or a novice cross-country skier? Because that kind of matters. But I think that if you're on cross-country skis, I'm gonna let Maggie answer too. But I think that if you're on cross-country skis, the downhill is quite challenging. If you're on like an alpine touring or downhill-oriented setup, it's no big deal.
The ski down is really interesting. I think even on alpine touring skis, it's still kind of tough because the course is so mixed. There are some flat spots. There's a hairpin turn that I haven't done the course on cross-country skis, and that's the whole reason why I'm avoiding trying cross-country skis is that hairpin turn. It doesn't get too steep, but you can get some speed going because it can get icy and tracked out. This is not a groomed, resort ski. So yeah. I don't think there's any right answer as to what type of skis to use. It's a huge part of the strategy. But there are some wrong answers, I would say.
That's true. Like if you have never been on skis, don't run skis with no metal edges. That's a wrong answer. And we don't mean to scare you. It's a relatively short section. It's 3 miles.
Yeah.
It's not like going off like a Black Diamond downhill ski resort.
And I think the rule of thumb is like if you are really struggling on the ski down, as long as you keep one ski on, you can hobble.
Yep. We've seen many people limp it in on one ski. Les Gaines makes a good point, and Les knows because he sits at Checkpoint Charlie, the hairpin turn, to witness all the crashing. He says if you're totally struggling, leave your skins on. And there's no shame in that. We see it all the time. Especially if you're thinking that this downhill ski might prevent you from doing the race, don't let that happen. Leave the skins on, have no pride, and have a good day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gil Stewart knows about Checkpoint Charlie. It's the hairpin turn. Meal vouchers are $10. Somebody chimed in from the board. Thanks, guys. Luke asks what we would do. Actually, we've both settled in different setups.
Yeah, but I deliberate. Like, I really would love to do skate skis with skins, but I don't know what I would do for the descent if I would wear my skins on the descent.
Oh, you might lose your whatever you gained.
Yeah. So the uphill, you gain a lot of time by going really light. And I would say also in the transitions, are we giving away too much inside info?
This is a strategy session. And you know what? You're going to be tweaking it every year. I'm just like, oh, I need different gear. I need to spend more money. That's not the trick, though. I just need to practice more.
You gain time from having simple boots and bindings to put on and take off from the multiple transitions. You can really lose a lot of time on the transitions in this race. And also if your skis are light, obviously you can get up that ascent. The ascent is much steeper than the descent.
That's true.
But that descent on, skate or classic skis, I don't think very many people classic ski, do you?
I do.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah. So I train on AT, like kind of just add some weight, and then I race on classic skis with metal edges. And if it's not icy, it's great. If it's icy, it's not great. So the long and short is that there's no right answer. Maggie's racing on, I think, light alpine touring. I'm not racing this year, but I've settled in on racing on wide classic skis with metal edges, and there's not a right or wrong. If you live in Albuquerque or anywhere within like 2 or 3 hours, come out this weekend, give it a shot, and then you'll know for sure. All right, moving on. It totally depends. I'd say most do. Oh, sorry. I have to repeat the question. I'll repeat it and you can answer it. Do most people switch boots between skiing and snowshoeing?
So yes, I think so. What most people do with their snowshoe shoes is they pack their snowshoes with their running shoes or whatever type of shoes they're going to wear for the snowshoe, already inserted into the bindings of their snowshoes, so that you can just slip out of your ski boots and into your snowshoe shoes that are already kind of set up in your snowshoes. Some people have gone as far as like drilling their running shoes.
I did, but I don't think it was a good plan.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on your setup.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you just work on being efficient, I think you can do well with either setup.
Yeah. Do people wear their like cross-country ski boots in their snowshoes?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. They go into the snowshoes a lot easier than like an AT boot goes into the snow. Okay. If you're on a touring setup, you probably will not wear that in your snowshoes unless you've got huge bindings. But if you're on cross-country skis, you might just slip them into the bindings. I would say try it and practice. Like that, so much of this whole thing is just working out all the bugs with your gear.
Hey, does that mean you're soloing? I know him.
Oh, nice. All right, we had someone ask if we could post a racer list. I don't know, we'll have to bring that up with management. I'm not sure.
I think it's a cool idea. I don't know if we can this year, but
I think we have the technology. We'll talk about it. Cool. We got a new... Luke is in.
Yay!
He's soloing. All right. Oh, we've got board members sending us notes. Oh, I don't think it's relevant at all. Board members, come on. We're focusing. Okay. I think we've got it. Are there any other final questions? We're scrolling through. Sorry for the dead air. I think that's it. Thank you for joining. If you have other questions, feel free to get on the Facebook page anytime, or again, call the chamber or send us an email. Conditions are really good right now, like Maggie was describing, so this weekend would be a great time. Come to Grants, check out the course, see what you're in for. Okay, thank you everyone. We'll post a recording of this on YouTube and on Facebook, so tell your friends if they missed the live stream that they can catch all this later. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.